we got to see Mandy McGlynn make a start in goal. Jane Campbell the first game, Mandy McGlynn the second game, and McGlynn got tested. Dee, how do you rate McGlynn's performance in this game that she got a full 90 minutes?
It was, again, I think a position of growth. When are you at a high-stakes game with the U.S., getting tested against Australia? They have some tall players, great in the air, great players with service in between Catley and Kira Cooning-Cross. And I think we saw the nerves. She had one corner kick early in the match where she swung and missed. It was an early chance for Australia. The U.S. ended up clearing it. But then we saw the U.S. need to use Mandy McGlynn with her feet. And it's something she's praised a lot on in the NWSL, but it's different when you have the pressure of wearing the crest and the players around you also haven't played together. I mean, Sams and Davidson, that's their first time really playing together. We saw her deal with that press. It was tough. She had some really shaky moments where the touch was a little bit too far. The pass was right next to an Australian player's foot. It was a bit precarious, and we saw the U.S. get punished. They conceded a goal. But I think she's going to look back at that tape, and it's nothing that she can't fix. Mm-hmm. It's simply opening up your body a little bit more, having your center backs drop at a different angle for you so you don't have to play such a narrow pass. But she did look shaky at times, but I think that she'll grow a lot for me. It's all fixable.
Defensively, when you have a new goalkeeper, a new back four, a new midfield defensive two, and there's a lot of newness, a lot of people not playing together. You want someone to take control of the game defensively. I'm talking like organizationally, communicatively. And I understand if it's not always going to be the goalkeeper because sometimes you're geographically farther away from them on the pitch, and then it has to be a center back. But when you have Davidson and Sams back there and Dunn, and it's a lot of newness happening. I wanted McGlynn, when the ball was in the defensive third, to just own it. Own everything defensively, whether it's right or wrong, just be convicted in what you're doing. And so many times I felt like the ball came in the box and she wanted to get it, but then she maybe hesitated or questioned herself, which comes with time, right? It also comes if you have two center backs that have started 25 games together in front of you. That helps, gives you a little bit more confidence. But sometimes where the ball is in the box, it has to be the keeper's command. It has to be, whether she's getting there or she's not. Own it. And I feel like the confidence of McGlynn grew throughout the game. And there was moments towards the end where she did look a lot better, a lot less nervy, right? You're starting a national team game with the number one goalkeeper spot on the line. Of course you're going to have nerves. There was a moment with her feet where she had a bit of a fumble and defensively the U.S. saved her. I think it was Sams who ended up backtracking just at the start of the second half. And that is so unlike McGlynn. And that's when I knew, okay, she's just nervous. There's going to be time and things are going to change. In the second half, Christine, we got to see ultimately some subs, some changes happen in the 62nd minute. 4 changes that came from Emma Hayes. Tara McKeown coming in, Yasmin Ryan, Ali Sentnor, and Michelle Cooper taking off Lynn Biandolo, Emma Sears, Crystal Dunn, and Alyssa Thompson. So formationally, it was a little bit different, interesting. We saw Davidson go as the left back, McKeown and Sams in the center with Giselle Thompson still on the right, and then Sentnor in the 9, Shaw still underneath as the 10, Ryan on the left, Cooper on the right. Did you like these changes, Chris? What did you make of it, how it changed the game for the U.S.?
Well, for one thing, it added some teeth in the midfield. So if you're going to throw Cooper on there alone, I think that's a massive help because she's a player who thoroughly enjoys 1v1s. She likes carrying and breaking lines. She will get those progressive passes off. She will carry on her own. She does not care. And also, I feel like of the youth that we have called into this camp, she is the one most likely to knuckle up and continue to fight for balls, defensively, in attack, either way. Huge help. Saw that she managed to get her goal, kind of proof in the pudding there. Sentnor, again, another player who body movements on and off the ball, super helpful. Also, Yas Ryan, I feel like her being on there, massive help too, gave Ali Sentnor an outlet to plug and play into. Again, maybe a little bit too late in the game, but I feel like it changed the dynamic on field in that moment, and also kind of kept the US more on their front foot, with Australia in those moments finally starting to kind of try to up the tempo and pressing a little bit more.
See how these players changed the game. Did they change the game?
I think Sentnor definitely changed the game. She adds such a wrinkle of she's able to float around so much, and she's not afraid to open up and turn. That is just what the US was missing from the jump. We saw a couple moments of Shaw doing it later in the match when Sentnor came in, I think. But so what note I actually have here, I was just reading through, was that I really want to see the combination play between Shaw and Sentnor. Those are two players that I think would combine so well off of each other, playing off of each other. Little 1-2, Sentnor looking to run in behind, Shaw with her cheeky passes. We didn't get to see the bread and butter of most players in this game. I did like Cooper coming in for Alyssa Thompson. I think Thompson seemed a bit in her head. She has so much pace. She's so good at 1v1s. Her shot is great, and we didn't get to see too much of it in this match. She looked nervous and a bit hesitant, and kind of second guessing. And I think Cooper, hell, it's your second cap, your first camp. Let's go. You full send it, and she did. I mean, all you have to do to be a forward and be dangerous is just be around the 18, be in the frame of the goal and shoot your shot, and she did. She was in the right place at the right time. She did the work early. So I think she really proved her point, like, yeah, I'm here to work. I've got the rawness. Help me form this into what this team needs. So I like these subs. It gave energy. Was it much cleaner than what else we saw in the game? No. Still a big question.
We're not going for clean. We're going for scrappy and effective.
Yeah, but hell, if I'm wanting to bring somebody on the pitch that's scrappy and can be a game changer and effective, I'm looking at two players, which is Cooper and Sentnor.
Yes, to me, they changed the game in terms of energy. There was a big lift when we saw Sentnor and Cooper come on the pitch, and not just because 4 minutes later the U.S. doubled their lead thanks to Michelle Cooper in just her second cap. Cooper got her first goal. It was a bit of a recycled ball coming from Giselle Thompson and Claire Hutton, actually, who threads the ball forward. That's what I mean. Like, growth came throughout this game because Claire Hutton was not playing those penetrating balls in the first 45 minutes. But I also think it has a little bit to do with who was in front of her wanting those balls. And Allie Sentnor really wanted that through ball, a little dink pass, threading it through, breaking a line from Hutton to Sentnor, and then Sentnor trying to dribble and create for herself. And then Cooper ends up scoring. They said it on the broadcast. It was Michelle Cooper's fourth touch of the game, and she puts it away. Absolutely awesome. A couple minutes later, we also got to see another sub, Sam Coffey, coming in for Claire Hutton in the 70th minute, and then in the 76th minute, Emily Fox coming on for Giselle Thompson. So full changes coming from Emma Hayes, going from what maybe you would call the B team getting the start to bringing in some of these more experienced players. I'm talking specifically about Coffey and Fox into the game. Darian, when you notice these changes, I mean, what'd you write down? Read us through some of it. Come on.
I was really happy for Coffey to come in. I was like, Coffey in for Hutton on her debut. Massive difference. Coffey in, seeing how she opens up, breaks the first line of press. That's my note I put in, because as soon as Coffey came into the game, she's bouncing on both of her feet. She's on her toes. She's constantly looking. Yes, Hutton was doing the same thing, but to be safe, I understand most of her passes went backwards. Coffey opened up and was switching the point of attack. It was the first time almost in the entire game we saw that happen from the middle line from the U.S. And it changed the look. It broke Australia's press. Australia had a hard time getting face-to-face with the attackers who got on the ball. It ended up being Fox and Cooper on the right. That's where I remember Coffey playing a couple of passes, but it just changed the complete look. Albert ended up getting up a little bit higher. I think it was more so just a comfortability with Hutton and Albert sitting pretty parallel to each other. But I really, really love when Coffey came in. I think she just brought much more comfort in the U.S. because we knew what we were going to get. We knew exactly what we were going to get from her. And it was nice to see. I would want to see Hutton and Coffey play together and see how differently that changes Hutton's game.
With Hutton pressed a bit higher, almost as an 8?
Yeah, Hutton, the one that's an 8.
Yeah, she is an 8. Well, with all these changes in this stabilization that coffee brings. She did switch the ball. Australia scored 80th minute. It was Michelle Heyman down the right flank for Australia. And then Heyman was wide open in the box for
Like the
this
center
header.
back. Whew.
Splits the center back. Very uncharacteristic of Sam's. I mean, who do we blame? Is there anyone to blame on this goal?
Well, Lisa, I want to ask you. You're the defender. I have my thoughts on this, but I want to know what you think.
I mean, there's a lot that goes through it, right? You can start from where the play developed in the midfield. No one stepped to the ball, and it was a beautiful ball in over the top to Haley Rosso, who moved from the central location out to the wide right flank. So initially, there has to be pressure on the ball that's serviced, and then players going wide. And it came right after the changes to Thompson and Fox in the back, of Fox coming in. And Fox was out of position. She was pulled a little bit more centrally due to what was happening in the midfield. So already players are out of position when this cross comes in, but it shouldn't matter. You have to pick up your runners. Everyone needs to be doing that. I think a little onus does fall on McGlynn, right? How much was she yelling at them and doing it? But you can't leave someone wide open as two center backs, or even if you're the right back and you're pulled out of position at the top of the penalty spot. Why Heyman was wide open, wide open. You
Yeah,
can't do
and
that.
it was a brilliant ball by Rosso.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it started, yes, the midfield breakdown, but Mickey Owen, it looked like she was looking at Davidson like, do I go? Do I stay? And it gave Rosso the time to have kind of a lengthy touch, pick out Heyman, no real pressure in her face. No one's throwing a leg up. Mickey Owen gets there late, and she served a perfect ball. It was on a dime. It was whipped in. It was head height. It was a great finish by Heyman. That is her bread and butter. Poor marking between Fox and Sam's in the 18, and McGlynn, I don't know, shoot your shot, come out, do something. That, Lisa, that's what you were talking about earlier, as in you have to be the one to organize. You have to be the one to call the shots, because everyone's waiting to hear your voice. And we heard so much about how Alyssa Nair was the one that was directing the entire time. And they were just missing that. That was a rare sighting for the U.S. to be that unorganized in the back and to get scored on. But we have to give preps to Australia. I mean, it was a really good finish. It was great service. They took advantage of the U.S. maybe being a little bit overconfident in the attack, which shouldn't have been. But yeah, that's a tough way to concede a goal.
I'm actually glad that the U.S. conceded a goal like that, because think of how much learning can be done for everyone defensively, right? Whether it's Mickey Owen, McGlynn, Sam's, Fox being pulled a little bit through there as well. Like, that is such a learning moment. And if that goal is saved or it goes over, it doesn't go in, you think about it, but those players are never going to let that happen again. They're never going to let
also,
that happen.
like Lisa, it's like Heyman, that sub on out for McNamara, like that was by design. Like Sermani was like, yeah, this is what we need. You knew she was going to be hunting. So it's one part, like, this player is going to do XYZ. Stop them from doing XYZ. Like that's the predictable stuff, like that's textbook.
It is. But it fell apart, and that's the learning, and that is the growth that Hayes wants, and that's why she wants 50 players available to be called into camp and to play in competitive international matches, and you're only going to get that if you try them. And we got that. 11 changes, and the U.S. still pull out with 3 wins. They get 2 goals on the night. They do concede 1 to Australia, but the U.S. get the 2-1 win over the Matildas in their second She Believes Cup match, and there's one more against the big dogs, Japan. We're going to do players of the match, no matter how clunky, how uncomfy, how much growth there was. Someone still rose to the top to be the player of the match for the United States. Darian, I'm not starting with you. I'm going with Christine.
I knew you'd flip this up on us. Darian, you ruined everything. I like swinging in the back. Okay?
I go first for everything.
I know. Lisa's like, Darian, tell me more hard eye emojis. It's fine. I'll go today. So very, very hard task today to pick out a player of the match. But for me, I'm going to go with Michelle Cooper. One, pulling up on your second game ever and scoring a goal, but also showing up in a match that had been largely disjointed, bringing the confidence and just like stick to itness to get in there and get the ball rolling once again, literally and metaphorically. And then sealing your goal is a dream. So I think we have a lot to see out of Michelle Cooper for country, as much as we've seen for club. Leadership qualities abound. Excited for what's to come for her. And that is why I'm choosing Cooper today, because it was hard.
Good shout. Good shout for
Lisa,
Coops.
are you going next, or
Yeah,
is it me?
sure.
Yeah, Lisa.
Guys, this was a really hard one. I could give I honestly think that Allie Sentnor could be the player of the match just with how she changed the game when she came in. But I want to give a shout out to Giselle Thompson because my
Lisa,
bar was
it's
very
player
low.
of the match, not a shout out. Don't cop out now.
I'm giving it to her. I'm giving it
Okay.
to her because when you don't have anyone that's like outstanding for the 90 minutes or 60 minutes even, I'm going to give it to Giselle Thompson. I think the bar was very low for her to come in and to perform well. Not in a bad way, just she's a really young player. It was only her third cap. You have no expectations. And she grew with confidence on the ball throughout this game. She did a pretty good job getting forward by the end of the game, understanding where that space is, being brave in those moments when she was on the ball to cut inside. There is a lot of growth there for Giselle Thompson and where she can go defensively. She can get stuck in. The bar was low for me watching Giselle Thompson, and I was impressed with what she did. Pretty good positioning, and Emma Hayes needs depth at her outside backs. She needs many players that she can rotate in, whether she's playing in a 4-back with one going forward, or if we ever see her switch to a 3 center backs and then wing back players. You need depth. And this game said that Giselle Thompson is going to get called into camp again to grow as a depth position in the outside back for me.
I like that. I do like that. I think, again, it's the reaction of these younger players that it's not a pretty game. You have a lot to grow on, but let's see how you face up when there's a lot of adversity. And she had a great game in that front. My player of the match, I'm going to go with Lynn Biondolo. I thought she was so effective. She looked dangerous. She was creating many opportunities. I mean, the Matildas were shaking in their boots anytime the ball was played backwards. She had one that she picked off in the second half. It could have been a goal. She missed the frame. I think she thought she didn't have enough time, but she actually could have taken a touch and cut inside and probably curled it in back post if she wanted to. But to me, I think when you look at the squad, and especially how much more depth there is in that 9 position, as a player, you would maybe want to add change or adapt the way you play that has qualities of like Macario and how she plays, or Shaw if she's going to play in the 9, or Allie Sentnor even, because she's the one that's going to sit in the pocket a little bit more and look to turn and face up. And I think Lynn brings such a different level to the team that you can't leave her off of a roster. She has proven that over the years, and then to come in and score a goal just seals the deal for me. So I had to get a shout out for Lynn, because I think though how effective she is unmatched compared to any forward.
Hands down, scoring a goal 1 minute into a game is impressive no matter who does it or how you do it. It's impressive. Guys, I like these players of the match.